Hello everyone, my name is Anthony Gallegos. I'm here with Ted Lange, executive producer on Sanctum 2, and yeah, we're checking it out. It's coming out for XBLA, PSN, and PC this spring. And Ted, I guess in the most basic sense for people that are watching, what is Sanctum 2?
So Sanctum 2 is the sequel to a really popular game on Steam, Sanctum. It's the first and, as far as I know, only game that has mashed up the tower defense genre with the popular first-person shooter genre.
And so one of the kind of core tenets of Sanctum is you have this area that you can build, but you've never wanted to sort of restrict people to pre-made paths.
Exactly, yeah.
And so you allow people to build the initial walls, but then I guess, what are, sort of some of the things that you feel sort of set Sanctum apart, besides the first-person thing? Obviously, that's a big deal. But I'm saying, what were the kind of goals you had with Sanctum 2 from 1?
I mean, I think with Sanctum 2, it was really just to add more of the foundation that we laid with Sanctum 1 and really give the player complete freedom to play the game in the way that they'd want to play. If they're more of a first-person shooter player, then they really can play it differently by staying in the action and being right up in the front lines. But if they're more of a tower defense player, then they can really get strategic and create their own paths, guiding the enemies to specific choke points,
right,
and placing the right towers and customizing their loadout so that they're doing the right amount of damage for the type of enemies that they're facing.
Yeah, I was going to say the customizing your loadout thing is a new feature to Sanctum. I guess one of the things it sounds like they wanted to do is kind of give Sanctum a lot more personality than the first one had.
Exactly, yeah. Before, Sanctum 1 had the main character, Skye, just your basic awesome soldier girl.
Yeah.
And now it's been expanded with a light story arc that includes her sister, Sweet,
right,
her friend Hagen, and a robot named Simo. Each one of these classes are exactly that. They're not just characters, they're character classes. You got Sweet as more of a demolitions expert. Hagen's really your tank class with a shotgun and does more damage up close. And Simo is your sniper.
And so another thing that we're seeing right there, for people that are probably more familiar with Sanctum, is that you're actually able to kind of aggro and kite enemies now.
Exactly, yeah. With Sanctum, it was more of a traditional tower defense where the enemies were really moving along the path that you set, driving towards your core to take it out. But now there's actually a full aggro system in place where you can exactly kite enemies and guide them around. And the trick with that is it actually adds another layer of difficulty, because if you start doing a lot of damage, they will turn and they will start attacking you.
So one of the things that I know my friends that played the original Sanctum were really into, though, was that they played the game and they would sometimes play by themselves, but the majority of my friends would never play unless they were playing with other people. I imagine multiplayer is also still a big deal with Sanctum 2.
Yeah, multiplayer I think is even more impactful with Sanctum 2 because of the character classes, because of the level up system and the customized loadout. You really can figure out different ways to take on each level. Like, there's certain levels that actually have sniper perches, so you can have a couple players actually setting up all the defenses and the assault guys getting in there and really just taking out the enemies in the front lines, while the sniper class just stays up top and surveys the entire surroundings and taking them out that way.
And I imagine there's also I guess it's like you're saying, that your class loadouts even matter more so then, because if you have two people that play the assault guy, well, you may not want everyone to play the same class.
Exactly, and at that point, if you can only each character selects a couple towers, at that point, if you have 4 players, you can have every single type of tower because each one can select the different types.
It also seems like the environments in Sanctum 2, from what I've seen, have all been designed to be a little bit more they have more of a sense of place than before. Like, the other ones were very much sort of like a skybox around a grid, and you kind of played in it. In this, it's like you have this environment where there's actually these flames that'll damage people. Or
yeah, exactly. It's made to feel more like living, breathing environments,
right,
which just kind of add on from getting away from just traditional tower defense gameplay with the first-person shooter elements to really a full-on game experience that's really in line with what everybody expects in a next-gen game.
So I know that I guess some people are going to wonder, how much is Sanctum going to cost, and what all are they going to get when they play it? Like, is there 10 levels, 20 levels?
Yeah, so the levels are split up between different worlds that you unlock along the campaign. There's 4 different worlds, and each one has 4 levels in that. So 16 levels altogether. The game's coming out, like we said, PSN, XBLA, and Steam for $14.99. So really good price point for the quality and time that you can actually spend in this game.
Yeah, and I know that I think one of the things that will really help Sanctum have a lot of replayability is that, like, I know that, my initial reaction when I heard it was like 16 levels, it doesn't sound like that much, but when you see the grid that we saw just a little bit ago, you don't need to pull it up right now, you're fighting way too many things. But yeah, when you see the grid, the whole point is that you can lay that out totally differently each time.
Exactly, and you'll always go back to earlier levels, especially when you're unlocking new towers and finding better ways to really lay out your paths. And of course, anybody that has a competitive nature wants bragging rights, so there's things called feats of strength, which are very similar to the Halo Skulls, where you can add extra challenges to yourself, which give you XP bonuses.
Which is important because now there's the persistent leveling system. Like before we jumped in the level, we picked a perk, and you can unlock additional weapons for your secondary slot, and you have to unlock additional towers, and the ability to have more than 3 towers to 4 towers. So there's a lot of replayability in the fact that you're persistently leveling.
Exactly. I mean, I've played many of these levels multiple times, and almost each time I have my specific things that I do, but I always try out new ways because you'll discover things that actually save resources by doing corner spaces instead of putting them in more of a square formation. Right. And little things that you learn along the way that really help you as a player.
So I imagine just like other tower defense games in the genre, bosses are also going to kind of play a big part in this.
Oh yeah, yeah, and there's a few really tough ones. I mean, one guy, he will pretty much catch, I think, every player by shock, because you'll literally be setting up your path, and this boss has the power just to not follow the path, but to smash the path. So he'll pretty much break everything that you've laid down for that whole gameplay session and move right to your core, and it's up to you to quickly take care of them.
So that's kind of a large overview of Sanctum 2. It comes out again this spring, $14.99 on Steam, PSN, and XBLA. And for a lot more on Sanctum 2, you can go to IGN.